afternoon, and welcome to the fourth career guidance session organized by the Kmdc Alumni Association in collaboration with the Karachi Medical and Dental College. I am your host Samra, and our topic today is gastroenterology. Our speaker today is the esteemed president of the Kmdc Alumni Association, Dr. Faisal Wasim Ismail. He graduated from KMDC in 1997 and did his residency in medicine at the Aga Khan University and Hospital. He then did a fellowship in gastroenterology from AKU, followed by a fellowship in advanced interventional endoscopy from Singapore. He now works as an associate professor and consultant gastroenterologist at AKU and has published 22 articles to date. He is also vice chair of education and a certified healthcare simulation educator. Today, he'll be sharing his journey. I would like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Faisal.
Right. So I'm very happy to be here. It's a great feeling to talk uh, to my own college, to students and to alumni who've already graduated, uh, about my journey and how I can help in any way. So some let me know how to start, and we can begin.
So, Dr. Faisal, I think we're all very interested to know what it was like to be part of the first batch that graduated from KMDC. So, why don't you start from there, from your medical journey, and talk about how you graduated and then how you went on to go to work at AQ?
See, right. I agree. So we joined KMDC in 1992, which is what 20 years ago, right? 30 years ago now. And at that time, KMDC was very different from what you remember it right now. उस वक्त I still remember जब हमारा inauguration हुआ था, Mr. Nawaz Sharif was the Prime Minister and he had come in for the inauguration, and for the parents and the students, उस वक्त 50 का batch जो MBBS का लिया गया था. The roads were all cleared, traffic was stopped to allow us to come to the KMDC, जिसको पहले हम old campus कहते थे. I don't know if it's still called that. That used to be in the Federal B area, Block 16, जो अब KIHD है. And a whole taqreeb was done there where the Prime Minister had come. Dr. Farooq Sattar was the mayor of Karachi in those days, and he was instrumental in getting KMDC off the ground. In those times, KMDC was right up there in terms of recognition and a uh, new medical college. There was a lot of fanfare about it, a lot of talk. After that, I think everybody, the teachers that we had, the students, because group itna chota tha, everybody knew each other by name very quickly, and we had the whole campus to ourselves. So it was a great feeling कि इतना बड़ा campus हमारा ही है. So whether it was बाहर cricket खेलना or taking the classes, it used to be a very close small group, and वहाँ regularly academic meetings जो सब होती थी, mayor lead करते थे. हर 2 हफ्ते में एक बहुत बड़ी मीटिंग होती थी, looking at the structure of the curriculum, कि सही पढ़ाई हो रही है कि नहीं, will be the best. So it used to be that way. It used to be very good. And after 2 years, we shifted to the newer campus, जो कि अब Block M में है, where we continued our clinical years as well. So it was very different जब 1998 में नया year one आया. So we actually didn't like it a lot. और अभी भी जो बहुत सारे लोग हैं from many very good friends of ours, उस time के तौसीफ है, इमाद है, मुजफ्फर है, so many others I can't think of right now. वो लोग आए, so we were actually jealous because we had the whole campus to ourselves and we realized कि अब हमें किसी और से share करना होगा. मगर what I want to say is कि उस वक्त the group was very tight, very cohesive, very proud of KMDC, and the quality of education was really up there. We were not allowed to get away with any छोटा मोटा stuff कि आज चला लिया, class cancel करते हैं, bunk करते हैं, although हमने की like all students do. But ऐसा नहीं था कि नजर नहीं थी हम पे और हमसे पूछा नहीं जाता था. So it was a very different, a very nice KMDC. We still have wonderful memories. Abbasi Shahid in those days was also different. It always had a few problems. Unfortunately, जो अभी भी हैं, लेकिन at that time it still used to work. There used to be things in the wards, and we used to go and round over there, and we did our night calls and everything over there. And then 1997 happened, and we graduated. Now it's great to be when you're the first batch. It's very good to be the first batch because आपके attention बहुत होता है, लोग मेहनत बहुत करते हैं, makes you feel a part of a special group. But at the same time, हमारा एक disadvantage ये था कि हमारे पास कोई seniors नहीं थे. And you know, when you look at DMC, SMC, or even AKU, you can see that there was a क्योंकि सीनियर्स होते हैं, सो आपको एक गाइडेंस मिलती है. जब हम ग्रेजुएट थे तो हमारे पास कोई गाइडेंस नहीं थी. केएमडीसी वाज वेरी न्यू, इट वाजंट इवन पार्ट ऑफ रिकग्नाइज्ड इन द ग्लोबल मेडिकल कॉलेज फ्रेटर्निटी, जिसकी वजह से हम प्लैब दे के बाहर जा सकते थे और या स्टेप्स दे के बाहर जा सकते थे. तो उस वक्त टाइम हमारे पास क्योंकि वक्त लग रहा था इन चीज़ों को करने में, सो वी डिडंट वांट टू वेस्ट टाइम. सो लॉट ऑफ अस थॉट दैट वी नीड टू डू इंटर्नशिप या हाउस जॉब समवेयर. And at that time, I had a few friends who were at AKU, and they said, if you are not planning on going out, why don't you do an internship here at AKU? So we sat the test, a lot of us in AKU, when because और कुछ उस वक्त हम बाहर जा नहीं सकते थे क्योंकि हम कॉलेज रिकग्नाइज नहीं थे. And out of 14 people who gave the test, 11 got in. Actually, all 14 se 14 got in, but two people decided to do their internship at Abasi. So 11 ka group, pehle batch ka first got into AQ for their internship in 1997-98, and that was the biggest group. And that was the time everybody realized that KMDC ke students are good. And if you could pass the AKU interview and if you could pass the AKU test, then that means you were good at that. So then I joined AKU, did my internship. After I did my internship, it was a fabulous experience. The experience, of course, of Basi mein aur AKU mein bahut farak tha. Learned a lot about medicine. And when I did that, then this is something which I'm telling you right now. Not a lot of people know about me, it's close friends and family. कि जब मैंने वो internship का year कर लिया, so I also realized that medicine is great. मुझे बहुत मजा आया, but at the same time I realized कि the journey is very long. अभी तो सिर्फ internship हुई है, फिर residency करनी है, फिर exams pass करने हैं, फिर specialization करनी है. And I was thinking that other friends of mine who had done their MBA and all, तो उनके तो MBA हो गया, खत्म हो गया, जॉब पे भी लग गए, काम पैसे भी आने लग गए. Here I was earning, I remember, 10,000 rupees as an R1. So when I would be earning. तो फिर मैंने ये किया कि मैंने सोचा कि MBA ट्राई करते हैं, and let's see if I can do a pharmaceutical industry का कोई चीज करें. मेरे ज़हन में था कि वो भी ट्राई करते हैं. So I actually got into IBA. And I did a semester of IBA. I took a gap year between 98 and 99 to see कि क्या मैं कोई और options explore करूं. And I did a semester of IBA. But after that one semester, I realized that it's not for me. I couldn't understand the people. I couldn't understand the language, the lifestyle. पढ़ाई क्या हो रही है? And I missed the thrill of being a physician, of being in patients, of doing that night call, of the friendship जो कि develop होती है. The reason I'm bringing this up right now is that if at any point in time, I think this is one of the lessons from which I learned, and I want to tell everybody that if at any point you want to explore something in your life, do it. Because I would certainly not want to have reached this position and say, yeah, लेकिन अगर मैं एक MBA कर लेता और pharmaceutical में जाता, maybe I would have been more successful. And I would constantly be thinking of that. So we are young right now. I was young then. If you want to explore different avenues, do it. Don't. Otherwise, you'll constantly be thinking and have regrets. कि कर लेता था क्या. But try it and see. If you like it, great. If it works. If not, at least you know what your calling is and you'll be happy doing what you want to do. So within that semester, I realized that nothing else but medicine for me. I missed medicine and the thrill of doing that with patients. फिर उसके बाद रेजिडेंसी की इंटरनल मेडिसिन में I very quickly realized during my job the surgery is not for me. I just don't like the lifestyle. It didn't thrill me at all. Medicine key, I was chief resident in my program, and after I finished my chief residency, I passed my fellowship exam. एक चाह जरूर थी to go to the US and do my residency, but the family के मसलों की वजह से my mother became ill, had premature coronary artery disease, and I'm the only son of my family, so I chose to stay with her and be with my family then. My sisters were married already, so I didn't want to leave my mother and go. So I chose to stay back in Pakistan, and Alhamdulillah, it's worked for me. Uh, so then I chose, and when I chose to stay in Pakistan, the AKU was the best place to train in. So once I did my residency, I finished my fellowship, and during my training, I realized that I like doing interventions, and that's something I want to tell the group here as well. कि अगर आप लोग मेडिसिन की ट्रेनिंग कर रहे हैं तो उस दौरान में जब आपके रोटेशंस होती हैं कार्डियोलॉजी में, ऑन्कोलॉजी में, दूसरों में, so try to realize if this is what you want to do. Would you be happy doing that all your life? तो जब मैं कार्डियोलॉजी में गया, फॉर एग्जांपल, आई लाइक्ड इट, बट आई थॉट दैट it's just not for me. Intervention तो वो भी है. And by the year of my first year of residency, I realized कि कुछ intervention में करना है, because I would not like to just sit across a desk and talk to patients. अब interventions में medicine में क्या क्या options थे मेरे पास? Gastroenterology था, cardiology था, pulmonology थी. And I like doing pulmonology as well, but I liked gastroenterology the most. I think उसका एक reason ये था that it's invasive. Endoscopies, colonoscopies, ERCP is quite invasive, borders on the brink between medicine and surgery. लेकिन it also has a very strong patient interaction component, and I like talking to patients. I like the counseling. I like the interaction the patients के साथ होता है. So I think during your training, it's very important that आप लोग सब uh, while you're going through it, imagine yourself doing that for the rest of your life. Imagine if going to work every day in that particular rotation that you're in excites you, or do you want to do like that? And then try and then decide what you want to do. But if it's interventions, then I chose gastroenterology. I did a 3 year training period in AKU. उस वक्त gastroenterology की training options बहुत कम थे, अब ज़्यादा हैं. We'll talk about that in the next few minutes. जब ट्रेनिंग कर ली, then I became a consultant specialist in gastroenterology. I started working with AKU. लेकिन कुछ टाइम में I wanted to try my hand at private practice as well. And that was the time I not only worked at AKU, but I left and I joined Kmdc. उस जमाने में Dr. Bakar Kazmi was the principal, and I was approached from him and to others as well that if I would like to give back to my alma mater. And I was excited to do it. I wanted to come back to KMDC and help others as well. So I joined KMDC in Abbasi Shaheed Hospital as an assistant professor. I think that was 2009. And that was the time I met Bushra. That was the time I met Irfan. And we'll talk about that in a little while as well. And I was amazed by Irfan's passion and energy. And Bushra, of course, was still as bubbly and as cheerful and as committed as she is right now. तो उनसे मिला, लेकिन over time I spent a few years there, but then I got an opportunity to come back to AKU at a very good post. So I went back to AKU and worked there. And but the second lesson of my journey is that there comes a time in your professional career where you feel कि आप stagnate हो रहे हैं. And unless you develop new skills, uh, you will be left behind. And that is one of the things in our profession. I think you've got to understand that as you progress in life, if you keep the same skill set that you have right now, you will lag behind, and people will go ahead and do more stuff because the field is constantly evolving. And that's the time I realized that I need to develop myself as a gastroenterologist and learn more intervention skills because I was interested in. So then I looked around. I spent about good 1.5 year looking around for fellowship opportunities in the region, and endoscopic interventions में, which is ERCP में advances, and endoscopic ultrasound में Southeast Asia generally is very good. Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, those areas, and I got an opportunity to get an attachment in Singapore, and I spent 6 8 months over there learning interventional endoscopy in US. Followed which I came back at AKU and started the service. ERCP to pehle bhi thi, but I got it added to that and improved the service, and endoscopic ultrasound nahi tha. So we started the service at AKU, which was very good. Gave me an opportunity to contribute to AKU as a new service. So that was the second lesson, which would mean that you have to constantly work and innovate yourself in the field that you're in, otherwise you will be left behind. And I've been doing that for the past many years. मगर पिछले 2-3 साल में I realized that हल्की my passion in gastroenterology is there, of course, but I'm also developing a passion for medical education. मुझे जो interaction students के साथ और trainees के साथ होता है वो बहुत अच्छा लगता है. I love teaching, I love training, and मेरे जो the feedback that I was getting or the evaluations I was getting from students and trainees were very good as well, indicating that they liked my way of teaching and training as well. So I wanted to develop myself as an educator, as a medical educator, and that's why and medical education is a very broad field, but उसके अंदर मेरा interest simulation में बहुत हुआ. Simulation is a field which we use simulators for teaching and training, and you practice and practice until you get better. In other words, you don't use the patient as a guinea pig to practice your skills on. You work on the simulator, develop your skills there, and then come on to patient. So that is something I was interested in. I enrolled in a master's from the University of Alabama in Birmingham, USA, and I will be graduating next week, inshallah ta'ala. So which is the third lesson that I want to talk about with all of you. वो ये है कि आपका करियर जैसे प्रोग्रेस करेगा, ये जरूरी नहीं है कि आप वही चीज करते रहें जो आपने 15 साल पहले सोची थी, क्योंकि fields change, you will as a person, as a professional change, and you may develop other interests, and that's great. You should always want to do what you love doing, what you like doing. If you get into a rut of doing things just for the heck of it, तो फिर आप खुश नहीं रहेंगे, आप वो काम अच्छे तरीके से नहीं करेंगे. So if you feel as your career progresses that नहीं यार ये this is not doing it for me and I want to do more, feel free to do that. So right now the position I'm at, I'm working at AKU. I'm doing gastroenterology. I'm also teaching and training, and I'm trying to do what I like doing. So that was my journey over the past 10 minutes. I hope there are if there are questions or there are other comments. I'd be happy to take them.
Thank you so much for that great summary. It was very inspiring to hear your entire journey. Because I think in medicine, we don't really hear about doctors evolving the way you have. You kind of, if you find a doctor, they did the residency and then they start a consultancy. At the most, they'll start a private practice. That's all. That's how the career changes. So it's very refreshing to hear you talk about this. Uh, I wanted to ask you, uh, right now, what does a week in your life look like after you've made all these changes?
Right. So that's a great question. A week, by and large, the majority of my time is taken up with clinical practice because I am a clinician first up. So I do my clinics, I do my endoscopy lists, I do on call when I'm on call, I do my on call rounds, I do my procedures, I see consults. So primarily my work is patient related procedures and clinics. उसके अलावा क्योंकि मैं वाइस चेयर हूँ एजुकेशन का डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ मेडिसिन में, so I look at the undergraduate programs, the postgraduate programs, and the continuous professional development programs that the Department of Medicine offers. तो आप लोग समझ सकते हैं कि उसका एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लोड भी होता है उस काम का. So I've reserved a few days for my administrative work, and I've left one half day for research during my week. So that is my Friday morning का time मैंने रखा है जिसके अंदर मैं कोई मीटिंग्स नहीं लेता, कुछ नहीं करता. The research projects that I'm working on, I touch base with my team and follow up on that and do those.
I think we've just gotten a question in the chat about your research journey as well. So if you could talk about that, about when you published your first article, how you got involved, all of that, that'd be lovely.
Right. So research is something that I realized very early on, even when I was a medical student, that it is something that we are all supposed to do. उससे पहले तक तो हमें पता भी नहीं था, मैं बस पढ़ के MBBS कर लो तो ठीक हो जाएगा. But we realized that in medicine, in academic medicine, if you want an academic medical career, then you need to publish. So of course, a lot of you will know this, but for the juniors in the group, I'll just say that when you do your medicine, and you do your MBBS, and you do your training, there are generally two pathways you can take. One is academic medicine, जिसके अंदर आप एक university hospital को join करते हैं, and you can do you become an assistant professor, associate professor, or a professor. But the other is where you just do a private practice, and that's fine as well. Really, you should be doing what you want to do. But in private practice, may then you don't need so much of research unless it really interests you. मगर academic medicine में अगर survive करना है, if you don't, वो कहते हैं ना, you publish or perish. That's exactly a very common synonym that is used in medicine. So you have to publish. So generally, when I started out, I used to work with my senior colleagues, मेरे professors, associates, in writing. I started out with writing a case report and then a review, a case of hepatic steatosis and hepatitis C. What is the relation between that? So वो मुझे इस तरह से मिला था कि मेरे प्रोफेसर ने मुझसे कहा कि would you like to work with me? And I said sure I would, because when you're a senior at senior levels, and you're called by you're approached by journals that if you want to publish an article with them. And since professors and all are very busy, so they got in touch with me कि भाई ये young trainee है, इसके पास time होगा, ये कर ले, and I jumped on the thing. और उसकी वजह से मुझे publications मिली. So I started off with that, and also you've got to constantly keep a eye out कि अगर आप कोई interesting case देखें तो फिर आप अपने सीनियर से पूछें कि क्या ये publishable है. And my first case report was where I published a case of gastric variceal bleeding in a patient without cirrhosis. Usually cirrhosis होता है तो varices बनकर हम bleed करते हैं. But this was a patient who had acute severe pancreatitis, blocked off his splenic vein, and bled from a gastric varix. So you had a gastric varix, but you did not have CLD. So we published that. I still remember the Singapore Medical Journal. So I think two key things youngsters need to look out for: opportunities for case reports and opportunities to work with senior faculty. And the way I would say is कि मुझसे जिस तरह से मेरे पास लोग आते हैं, कहते हैं, sir, if you're working on a project, please let me know. I'd like to work. Do you have a case report that you want me to do? Do you want me to enter some data? And then do that. Over time, my interest developed primarily when I was working predominantly as a clinician. My interest for two portal hypertension related issues and endoscopy. So you'll see a lot of complications related to cirrhosis, whether it's upper GI bleed, related primarily to upper GI bleed is a combination of cirrhosis, portal hypertension, and intervention, which is endoscopy. Over time, I've been developing more interest in chronic viral hepatitis and uh, and and education. So the recent few years, that's been reflecting my interest as well.
Okay, so I think the research requirements for medical students has changed a lot. So what you were speaking about, you were saying it's like academic medicine is different, and then if you're doing a private practice, that's different. But now students are expected to have publications as soon as they graduate. It's almost like a prerequisite for some residencies. So, what do you think students can do if they want to be a competitive candidate for gastro? Is there anything specific that they can do related to research or electives, anything that can help?
Right. So one of the key things is कि आप किसी भी रेजिडेंसी प्रोग्राम में अप्लाई करें या किसी भी फेलोशिप प्रोग्राम पे अप्लाई करें, तो जब आप गैस्ट्रोएंटरोलॉजी में जाते हैं, और मैं ये इंटरव्यूज बहुत करता हूँ, so a candidate, if he comes and says, or she comes and says मेरा इंटरेस्ट गैस्ट्रोएंटरोलॉजी में, you've got to back that up by data, right? So and one of the things is that how does that backing up come? That backing up comes by okay, I had an elective in gastroenterology, either here or abroad, or I've published in gastroenterology. So that is the two ways. So over the years, what I've helped out a lot of KMDC graduates who have reached out to me, and if they've been interested in doing work with me, what I've done is I've kept them on with me in AKU for a month or 2 weeks ताकि वो अपनी सीवी में ये बिल्ड इन कर सकें कि हाँ मैं इंटरेस्टेड था, मैंने इनको अप्रोच किया, इनके साथ काम भी किया, दिस इज द प्रूफ. So and I've worked with a few good students as well with data collection and management. Now remember, agar, even if you don't get scholarship rights, it's okay. It's the experience that matters. It is the relationship that you build with your faculty that matters. I can now tell you there was this resident called Dr. Ali Haroon. Ali Haroon was a graduate, I don't know from which college, but I met him in Abasi Shahid when he was a R1 in Abasi. And he saw that I was in AKU. He saw the way I did gastroenterology, wanted to do gastroenterology. एंड वहां पे मेरे साथ इतना अच्छा काम किया, मेरे साथ कोशिश करने की काम करने की कि he applied to AKU. I was part of the interview panel at AKU and I knew him, so I told everybody, I worked with this guy, he's good, let's take him on. Ali came to AKU, did a residency with us, became a gastroenterologist, is now a gastroenterologist in the city. That happened because of the interest he showed in working with gastroenterologists and developing a relationship and doing research work. So whenever we do it, anybody in the field asked to do any work with them, whether it's data collection or writing a manuscript or helping revise a manuscript, and try to see if you can get an attachment with them to build a relationship so that you have some proof on the CV.
That's very helpful advice. Thank you so much, Professor. It is important to build relationships. I think it's harder in a place like Abbasi Shaheed. Do you think the working environment is very different as you've worked in different places? Do you think there's anything that could be how students can approach doctors at Abbasi specifically?
So I would agree a working environment different here, but there's a fabulous group of people there as well. I mean, some of the faculty that are still there, and I've worked at Abbasi, so I know these people. A working environment है challenging, मैं वो deny नहीं कर रहा, but I still feel that there are many people who you can tap for help. Offhand, I can just think of Dr. Faisal Jamal, Dr. Athiya Sabeen, Dr. Anila. I mean, there's just a few of the great stars जो कि अब्बासी में हैं. But that is where the alumni association comes in, right? Through us, you have access to so many people. I mean, through the alumni association, you have access to people like me, to Dr. Zahid Azam, who's again a first batch ke gastroenterologist doing amazing work at Dow University Hospital. There are people who are abroad. There are people in the UK. There are people in the US. So if you want to reach out to people, gain experience, and develop your network, I think पासी में तो लोग आपको help out करेंगे ही. But a great group of alumni exists through the Alumni Association in Karachi, then within Pakistan, and then outside Pakistan as well. So the association can help you make those contacts.
Since we are talking about the association, I don't think our viewers know a lot about the working because it's still relatively new to all the students. So why don't you tell us a little about how Dr. Khan started the association and how you got involved and everything that you guys have been doing since then?
This is a very inspiring story, and I really think that this needs to be known. Uh, when I joined Abbasi in 2009, I met Irfan, and you know, कुछ लोग stars होते हैं. You can see it. Some people just stand out. अल्लाह ने उनको ये कुछ कुछ उनके character में ऐसी चीजें होती हैं that they just stand out, and Irfan was one of those people. Irfan was, mashallah, academically strong, had a great personality, was confident, um, interested in working for the betterment. So he was, he was a joy to work with. He was a junior trainee at that time. But amongst the group, I immediately realized, mashallah, um, माशाल्लाह he's so good. इरफान से जब मैं मिला तो इरफान वक्त के साथ उसने मुझसे शेयर किया that he really needs to a platform for people to work with in AQ and to guide the residents. और वो कह रहा था कि उसने मुझसे पूछा कि मेरा एक्सपीरियंस क्या था. मैंने कहा यार हमने तो सफर किया था कि हम जब ग्रेजुएट हुए थे हमारे पास तो कोई गाइडिंग लोग ही नहीं थे करने के लिए काम हमें हेल्प करने के लिए. एंड हिरफान सेड सर अभी भी यही हाल है तो हमें कुछ करना चाहिए ना उसका हमें कुछ तो गाइडेंस प्रोवाइड करनी चाहिए. एंड ही मेड मी फील अशेम्ड रियली. मुझे ऐसे लगा यार ये बच्चा मुझसे जो कह रहा है मैंने कभी क्यों नहीं सोचा. And I could see the passion in Irfan for doing something for this. And so he said कि मैं इसका जरूर सोच रहा हूँ sir. Do you have any ideas what we can do? Bushra at the time was his colleague as well, and she was also extremely passionate. And I could see that these guys would definitely do something about it. तो उस वक्त मैंने कहा था Irfan, whatever you want to do, I can help with. Then I had to leave Abbasi, and then I was at AKU rounding one day I remember, and I saw Irfan in the ward there. And I said, Irfan, तुम यहाँ कैसे? And he said, हाँ मेरे वालिद की तबीयत ठीक नहीं थी तो मैं इनको देखने आया था. मगर मेरा प्राइमरी रीजन ये था कि मेरी छुट्टियां थी तो मैं आया था और अब्बासी में वर्कशॉप्स करा रहा हूँ इमरजेंसी की. And I said, you've come just to do workshops? He said, yes, somebody needs to do this professional building. Uh, so I was amazed at his mashallah energy. हम में से कौन ये करता है कि छुट्टियां हैं तो चलो चलते हैं कराची और अब्बासी और कराची की गर्मी में लोगों को टीच एंड ट्रेन करते हैं. उस वक्त तक Dr. Bushra and Irfan had got married as well, mashallah. So they were a couple, they were a family as well. And then Irfan, over a period of time, had wanted really कि ये alumni association करना है. So बोला Dr. Bushra के late husband है Irfan. Irfan left us a few years ago due to CNS lymphoma. But one of the things all of us very strongly feel about this is something that Irfan made us realize कि ये we owe this to KMDC and alumni. He didn't want this, and none of us want this to be a political entity. Alumni Association is not a political forum. ये सिर्फ एक volunteer forum है for people like me, people like all of us in the team to help other people, students, ताकि उनको एक रास्ता फराहम कर दिया जाए. और हम एक्सपेक्ट ये करते हैं कि आज जब हम आप लोग को कुछ कोशिश कर रहे हैं हेल्प करने की, आप हमें ज्वाइन करेंगे वंस यू ग्रेजुएट और आप दूसरों की हेल्प करेंगे. दैट इज द विजन ऑफ इरफान. That was the driving force. That is what Bushra wanted, and that's what all of us do. हम सब यहाँ पे एक volunteer positions पे हैं सिर्फ इसलिए कि हम आप जैसे लोगों को जो फाइनल ईयर मेडिकल स्टूडेंट्स हैं, फोर्थ ईयर है, उनको कोई गाइडेंस आगे दे सकें कि उनको करियर काउंसलिंग करनी, कहाँ ट्रेन करना है, कहाँ वो हेल्प कर सकें. So that is what the association does, and that is what we would like all of you to spread the word around about the association and how we can help you, and in turn you help us to keep this going. Ji.
That's so great to know. We're genuinely very lucky we have doctors like, those who are listening in, they are going to start using this resource. They're, going to try to interact with all the alumni, because I think all the alumni are very reachable. I've like for the past year that I've been working with everyone, I feel like the alumni are reachable. You can talk to them. They're here to help. They're here to listen. And I think these webinars are a great sort of link between us and the alumni. So one question that I keep getting is, if you can guide students about AKU internship and how to apply.
All right, great. So yes, I can. AKU internship here, and what the internship program is generally like. It offers you a 6 months of medicine, 6 months of surgery, and during the medicine and surgery, it breaks it down into various subspecializations. So you get an opportunity to work through internal medicine, and then a few of the subspecialties. And the same thing would happen in in surgery, where you'll get general surgery, and then you get a subspecialty, whether that could be urology or peds surgery, etc. There are other rotations where you want to do ER, then you can do ER as well, but then दूसरी चीजें आपकी change होंगी. And so those would be times. In these usually say media and on electronic media. If you all are interested, I would say subscribe to the Twitter and Facebook page for Afan University, so you don't miss any of the updates. और मैं ये कर सकता हूँ कि मुझे जैसे ये पता चलेगा मैं alumni page पे post कर दूंगा important dates जो होती हैं for submissions, so that people through the alumni association about it. But I to do it क्योंकि इस तरह की structured internships generally city में, so it would be a very good to do all of this. And I can honestly tell you now, everybody knows that KMDC graduates are brilliant, mashallah. आप लोग all are the quality of product KMDC is KMDC people in the team. So certainly I would encourage, and I think third co if I don't forget, but I can post all the important information on the group.
Yes, that would be very helpful. Yeah, someone's message, they have the internship exam on third.
Yeah.
So they're asking if you have any piece of advice for the exam. But hasn't it changed a lot since you came out?
Honestly, अब तो मुझे नहीं पता कि structure क्या है. I'm sorry, I don't मैं गलत बयानी नहीं करनी to say that that's exactly.
No, but I think it would be very helpful if we can talk to alumni that have graduated recently. So I think the association can help us with that also.
So जनरली वो क्योंकि काफी सारी फैकल्टी AKU में KMDCN है. A graduate of maybe 2007, fabulous person. Endocrinology में आप आएंगे तो आप रियलाइज करते हैं of our graduate impact at AKU. And so what I'll do is कि मैं ये कर लेता हूँ कि कुछ वो interns वो हमें trace out कर लेते हैं KMDCs. So मैं उनसे रिक्वेस्ट कर लेता हूँ कि अगर वो इस ग्रुप में अपडेटेड इंफॉर्मेशन, क्योंकि उन्होंने तो पिछले साल ही टेस्ट किया है, तो वो अगर दे सकें यहाँ पे, so it will really be helpful for the group, and I'll try to do that. I'll make a note of that right now.
That would definitely be very helpful. Let's try to do that. That would be great. So I think that's all the technical questions. Someone's asked if you can guide about the gastroenterology pathway in the States, but I think that's different from the one. Can you, Akasha, go ahead, please?
Yeah. So of course we can. So of course there are different, and किसी ने कुछ. I just like to go over training opportunities in Pakistan as well, and then move on to the others as well. So in Pakistan, for example, one of the older programs is AKU in gastroenterology. मगर अब तो दूसरे भी हैं. There's a program in Liaquat National Hospital. There's a program in Dow Hospital, Dow University. There is a program in Ziauddin Hospital. So there are others as well. Shaukat Khanam does it over there is in Lahore as well. So there are opportunities for gastroenterology training in Pakistan and in Karachi as well. In the US, it's extremely competitive. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people think of doing gastroenterology over there, but wind up doing other non-interventionals. Because interventional uh, uh, fields in the US के अंदर दो जिसके अंदर हमारे कैंडिडेट्स रियली स्ट्रगल करते हैं, और हमारे से मतलब मेरा पाकिस्तानी, are cardiology and gastroenterology, the two most paying fields, the two most in demand fields. So you would do an you would do a 3-year medical residency program. The residency, as you know, over there is 3 years. इसमें से कुछ 6 months of electives भी होते हैं. Then you apply to a fellowship position. Most gastroenterology fellowships are for 3 years over there. There are 156 programs in gastroenterology, by the way, you can do in the States. But like I said, it's extremely competitive. Usual programs are for 3 years. 3 years के अंदर you graduate as a gastroenterologist. लेकिन that's usually not enough. Everybody does a year of additional fellowship either in ERCP or endoscopic ultrasound. That's one. Or you can take a different pathway after gastroenterology and do a year of hepatology. जिसके अंदर transplant hepatology भी की जाती है. So once you do your gastroenterology, then there are two branching points. You do invasive stuff, ERCP or EUS, or you transplant hepatology, and those are the two pathways that you take in the US. In the UK, it would be the same. You would do your lab and go and do your training. You would pass your specialist certificate exam, but then training spots in the UK are very difficult to get as well over there, simply because of the Brexit rules and all. Things have changed over there. So I think perhaps a UK-based alumni would be much better placed to talk about training opportunities currently post-Brexit in the UK.
So since we're talking about gastro residencies, what type of student do you think is best suited for this lifestyle?
Right. I think it's somebody जिसका interest है interventional procedures में. You have to be a bit type A for this. It requires a bit of little bit of aggressiveness, a bit of wanting to do stuff. There are people who like the patient interaction, who like fiddling around with दवाइयाँ. This का dose ऊपर कर दो, इसका dose नीचे कर दो. That excites them. Then probably gastroenterology isn't. But if you like tackling things, if you like the thrill of doing procedures, you bleed kar raha hai, the adrenaline rush, then that is for you. So a lot of the procedures we do are for upper GI bleeds. बहुत thrilling होते हैं, bleed हमारे सामने चल रही होती है. the satisfaction of stopping that bleed in front of you, the satisfaction of that patient going the next day uh, all well. If that is what you crave, then gastroenterology is for you. Remember, it has its drawbacks. I mean, you may be called in the middle of the night to do an upper GIP. If you're okay with that, तो फिर आप करेंगे. And honestly, to tell you the truth, over the past 4 or 5 years, the amount of late females that we're seeing coming to gastroenterology is phenomenal. I think, mashallah, I mean, if I think back 10 years ago, it was predominantly a male-dominated field. लेकिन उसके बाद अब तो we've had every year we've had an equal amount of a gender balance in our programs, indicating that there is no such a thing as it's difficult field for females. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. It's an amazing field. We have 4 female gastroenterology trainees right now in AKUH. So no holds barred. I think everything field is open for all genders.
That's very good to know, very reassuring. Professor, what do you think has been the most rewarding experience for you during your career as a gastroenterologist?
I think दो मैं इसको डिवाइड करूंगा. The first is as a clinician, and I think as a clinician हमें हर छोटे छोटे हैप्पीनेस के या फुलफिलमेंट के छोटे छोटे डोजेस हमारे पेशेंट्स all the time देते रहते हैं. The mother who kisses your hand and holds your hand when you save their daughter's life, or the thank yous that we get from our patient, or the छोटे छोटे gifts that a patient gives you just to say thank you. अभी कुछ दिन पहले एक पेशेंट इंटीरियर पंजाब के थे जो जो CLD के साथ आए थे. We intubated him and spoke him. He went back home. और मेरे लिए कल जब नहीं 3 दिन पहले जब वो आए, फर्स्टली जी का एक डब्बा लेके आए just to say thank you, because he gave me something which was so important to him. मतलब उसके लिए अपनी भैंसों का देसी घी निकाल के मुझे देना, felt that he really respected me a lot. So it's these छोटी things that as a clinician that help you and are very fulfilling. And the other thing that is very fulfilling, I think, uh, is when trainees who've graduated are in good positions abroad or in Pakistan get back to you on an email or come and meet you and say thank you sir, आपने वो चीज की थी उस वक्त, आपको तो याद भी नहीं होगा लेकिन उसने that made an impact on me, and it's because of you that I'm in this position. And when trainees or your juniors thank you for helping shape their lives or helping them a bit, I think that is the most fulfilling thing as a teacher in training.
Since we're talking about you as an educator also, what, in your opinion, is something that needs to change about how medicine is taught?
Oh, Samra, मैं इसके ऊपर 1 घंटा बोल सकता हूँ. Really, I feel
Please
so
go ahead.
strongly about this. I feel so strongly. I'm not going to bore you with an 1 घंटा. I'll just take a few minutes to talk about how I really feel the teaching of medicine needs to change. और इसमें दो चीजें मैं कहूँगा need to definitely change. And that's why I went into simulation. One thing is teaching by humiliation. This thing I feel very very strongly about. Teaching by humiliation is कि कोई senior या कोई professor आपको कोई चीज सिखाए लेकिन सबके सामने आपकी कुछ बेइज्जती करते हैं, saying that इसको तो टफ होने की जरूरत है, डॉक्टर बनना इतना आसान नहीं है. थोड़ा सा अभी ये जो मैंने इसको डांटा ये इसको जिंदगी भर याद रहेगा. इसको टीचिंग बाय ह्यूमिलिएशन कहते हैं. And I think this needs to change. This is something that I have undergone. A lot of people in my times and before me have undergone, and this needs to change. I think people don't learn this way. People just go into their shell and become more scared and nervous and don't ask questions. So the only way to improve this is for people like me and others to have an open relationship with teachers and trainers, so that this camaraderie and this relationship can be built between a teacher and a trainer. So this needs to change the way medicine is taught. And the other thing that needs to be changed is the way we use our patients to learn procedures on. आई थिंक मैं भी उसी तरह से ट्रेन हुआ हूँ कि अगर कोई इंटरनल जेबुलर पे कैथेटर डालना है तो हम लोग जब सीखते थे तुमसे कहते थे सी वन डू वन टीच वन, सी द वे इट्स डन, खुद करो एक और फिर तीसरे में टीच कर दो. उसमें आप समझ सकते हैं कि उसमें मैं जो भी मिस्टेक्स करूंगा वो मैं पेशेंट की एक्सपेंस पे करूंगा। मैं and that can be something from putting in intubating a patient to putting in even a small IV cannula. मैं जो तकलीफ दूंगा पेशेंट को, जो हेमाटोमास वहां बनेंगे कैनुला भी डालते हुए, वो पेशेंट पे होंगे। मेडिसिन इज चेंजिंग नाउ, दिस इज नॉट द वे मेडिसिन इज टॉट एनीमोर। और हमें पूरी कोशिश करनी चाहिए है कि सिमुलेटर्स यूज करें टीच करने के लिए, ट्रेन करने के लिए। एंड दैट इज व्हाट आई एम डेवलपिंग माई सेल्फ इन। और ये बिल्कुल मिथ है कि सिमुलेटर्स बहुत महंगे होते हैं या तो सिर्फ ये बैठ के डॉक्टर फैसल कह सकते हैं क्योंकि आप फार्म में बैठे हैं, ऐसी बात नहीं है। बहुत चीपर चीजें मौजूद हैं, सिमुलेटर्स मौजूद हैं। आपको पता होगा एलुमनी एसोसिएशन ने अभी सिमुलेटर्स खरीदे भी हैं और अब्बासी शहीद में रखवाए हैं हमने। वो डॉक्टर अनीला is leading that effort with Bushra and the rest of the alumni team. But we've all contributed to buy and keep simulators in Abbasi, inshallah. This has been done by the Alumni Association so that our trainees do not need to practice on patients and improve their skills, magar have the skills required in the skills lab to practice and go on their patient, to go on the patient, that ultimately our patients improve. I mean, honestly, why are we doing all of this? To improve the quality of life of our patients. This is very important in the teaching of medical education.
I'm so happy to hear you talk about this, and I'm sure every other student is also happy to hear about this. When we're in the wards, these are the two things we're discussing. How doctors, as you said, they tend to humiliate us, and that is not conducive to the teaching environment at all. And secondly, we feel bad for the patients, the way doctors treat them, the way we have to treat them as mannequins, basically, especially for a ward test and all of that. It's inhumane. So it's excellent to hear you talk about all of this. It's very inspiring. Thank you so much. And since you're actually a part of this, hopefully, you'll be able to enact some change and see some results. So we're almost up with our hour, so we will be wrapping up now, which I'm very sad about because I think we were having a very good conversation. It's really nice hearing you talk. Just at the end, do you have a takeaway message for all the students who are listening?
Yeah, I think I've spoken about the field in general. I just want to talk about the association a bit. I think this is an association. मैंने अपने वीडियो में भी कहा था कि this is an activity by KMDCians for KMDCians. ये आपका अपना association है. मैं एक बात कहूँगा जो कि I think it's very important to discuss here. And I think through you मैं चाहूँगा ये सबको पता चले. जब हमने ये शुरू किया था तो कुछ लोगों ने ये मिसकंस्ट्रू किया था कि हम होप्स को चैलेंज कर रहे हैं या होप्स की जगह ले रहे हैं, और ये मैं बहुत कैटेगोरिकली और क्लियरली आज कहना चाहता हूँ कि ऐसी कोई बात नहीं। होप्स हमारा इदारा है, हम भी केएमडीसी से, हमने होप्स के लिए काम किया है। सो होप्स डज ब्रिलियंट वर्क, बट देयर वर्क इज प्राइमरीली रिलेटेड टू पेशेंट केयर एंड केयर डिलीवरी। होप्स के मेंबर्स एलुमनाई हैं, तो वी आर पार्ट ऑफ होप्स, होप्स इज पार्ट ऑफ अस। Both of them are beautiful products of KMDC, and we want to work together. And that is something thankfully has been cleared up right now. So please, when you go to KMDC and you speak to people, hopes alag or KMDC or alumni association alag nahi hai. We are part of each other. We work together to improve each other. So all of you will be KMDC alumni. आप लोग graduate करेंगे, आप लोग alumni association का हिस्सा हैं। हम हमारे साथ please register with us, work with us, join with us, and help others coming below you through the ranks to become better doctors, better teachers. Spread the word. The association is alive and wanting to work with all of you to help you out. So help us take this mission forward and help. And let's make sure कि जो इरफान ने चीज शुरू की थी वो हम इंशाल्लाह उसको not only कामयाब करें मगर उसको flourish कराएं. That would be my message to everybody.
Definitely. I hope you're all able to live up to Dr. Irfan's dream. And again, thank you so much to everyone for doing all the work you've been doing and for such a great session. Dr. Faisal, if anyone wants to reach out to you, can they do that via email?
Absolutely. Please, what I'll do is मैं क्या करूँ समरा आपको बता दूँ. Please, I would love to hear from everyone. If there's anything I can do at AKU to help them, मुझे इंडिविजुअली लोग कांटेक्ट करते हैं, मेरी पूरी कोशिश होती है हेल्प करने की. बट राइट नाउ थ्रू द एसोसिएशन मेरी पूरी कोशिश होगी कि एनीबडी फ्रॉम केएमडीसी, आई एम ऑलवेज विलिंग टू हेल्प and facilitate. So yes, I will share my email with you, Samra, offline. और आप
Okay,
प्लीज
perfect.
हमारे लोगों को बता दीजिएगा please.
Great. Anyone who wants to contact Dr. Faisal can ask us for his email. Uh, as we can all see, he's very helpful and we're all very thankful. So we'll just wrap up the session now. Thank you again, Dr. Faisal. This was a great session. And yeah, happy Independence Day.
Happy Independence to all. Pakistan Zindabad. And thank you all for having me here. I look forward to interacting with you much more after this, inshallah. Khudafez.
Inshallah. Love this. Thank you, Dr. Faisal.